Are you hiding your God-given gifts? You see, many of us are sitting on our talents, waiting for the right time to step out. But what if I told you that this delay could be costing you not only your personal growth, but the very opportunities that God has given to you? In this video, we'll talk about a story that it's about money, but it's also much more than that. You see, this story is about money, but it's also more about resources. It's about skills. It's about responsibilities that God has given to us. And if you've ever felt uncertain about how to use what you have, or if you ever wondered why others seem to be prospering while you're stuck, you don't want to miss this. And so the story that I'm talking about is in Matthew 25, and I'm going to share that with you. It's Matthew 25 verses 14 through 30, and I'm going to read that right now. It says, again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to the other one, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. He then left on his trip. Then the servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. The servants to whom he had entrusted 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." The servant who had received 2 bags of silver came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more." The master said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." Then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here is your money back." But the master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it." Then he ordered, "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given. They will have an abundance, but from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Man, my God, my God. Well, let's talk about it. Before we break this down, there have been times when I've doubted whether the gifts and the talents that God gave me was enough. And so I'll be honest, there have been times in my life where I was like this man that got the 1 bag, the 1 talent. And I doubted what am I going to do with this? Is this enough? And so let me just hold on to it and not put it out there, because I don't even know if it's enough. And so there have been times where I've doubted whether I had enough, whether I had enough talent, whether I had enough ability, whether I had enough skills. Did God give me the same skills he gave somebody else? There's been times that I've thought about that. And if I'm just being real with you, And you know that feeling that you get when you see other people thriving and you wonder, what did God give me? I'm gonna honestly say that. I know some people won't admit that, but I'll admit that. I've said, I don't know if God gave me enough. And so what am I going to do with it? And so, I'm like, in that moment, I was not doing anything with what God gave me. Even if it was a little bit, I didn't do anything with it. I was not a good steward of whatever it is he gave me, whether it's talent, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, my abilities. I was not a good steward of it. And maybe you have found yourself in the same spot, if you're honest. I know it can't be just me. And if you're honest, maybe you found yourself in the same spot, thinking about what do I have? What do I have to offer? Maybe you've been given something, whether it's your skills, money, and you just don't know how to use it. Don't know how to put it to work for God's kingdom. You see, it's easy to get comfortable and just hide those gifts that you've been given because you think that they're not enough. You think that they'll never amount to anything. But if we're honest, we know that this is a dangerous place to stay. And so in this story in Matthew, Jesus is telling us the parable of the talents. And you've probably heard this. This is a parable of the talents. And in this story, he tells us that there was a wealthy man that he was preparing to go on a journey. And before he went on his long journey, he gave his servants his wealth. He divided amongst 3 servants his wealth. The first one he gave 5 talents or 5 bags of silver, which was a large sum of money. Because that talent at that time, it was the equivalent of a 20 years wage for, any worker, like 20 years of salary, basically. And so today you can, with inflation and all that, that can be calculated to, like, one talent can be calculated to a couple of $1 million, like $1 to $2 million, if you do the math. And so this wasn't a small amount of money. And so the one he gave 5 talents to, if it was either 1 or 2 million today, in today's money, that's like 10 million or maybe 20 million or something like that. Or 10 million. And then to the other, he gave 2 talents. And so that can be like 4 to 5 million. And then the other one, he gave 1 talent. That could be like 1 million. And so it was a lot of money. And the key here to realize is that he gave each servant according to their ability. And so he divided it up according to their ability. So the one he gave 5, he gave it to him because he knew he had the ability to handle 5, to multiply 5. And the one he gave 2, he knew he had the ability to do something with 2. Even the one he gave the 1 to that didn't do anything with it, he gave it to him according to his ability. He said, you can handle this 1. You should be able to handle this 1. You should be able to do like that did and multiply your 1. Yes, it ain't as much as 2 or 5, but he gave it to him to do all you can do with your 1. And so the first 2 servants, they immediately put their talents to work, trading and investing, and they doubled what they were given. They doubled it. But that third servant, he was scared. He was afraid of losing the money, and so he digs a hole and buries the money. And then the master returns and he commends the first 2 servants, saying, well done, good and faithful servant. Because they told him, they said, look, here's your money back with double. I've doubled it. I've doubled your money. And the master said, hey, well done. Since you have been faithful over this small amount, which was, again, no small amount, but he said, since you've been faithful over this small amount, you're going to get a larger amount. And he told the first 2 that. But that third one come in there, scared, talking about, I was scared, so I buried it. And then the master said, something that I wasn't expecting him to say. He said, "You wicked and lazy servant." Wicked and lazy. Now I can see lazy. I understand lazy. He didn't do anything with it, so I get it. He called him lazy. But wicked, I wasn't prepared for him to call him a wicked servant. He said, "You wicked and lazy servant." Because he buried his talent out of fear. He buried it out of fear. He was scared. And he didn't do anything with it. And so he squandered what God had given him, what the master had given him. And that's the same thing that we do today. We squander what God gives us because we're scared. And so now here's the lesson. The talents or the bags of silver represent more than just money. The talent is a metaphor for anything that God has entrusted to us. It could be our time. It could be our resources. It could be our skills. It could be anything. And most importantly, it could be our faith. It could be all those things. Our time. What if God has given you time? God has given all of us time. He's given all of us time, because if you're living here, you have time. And he's given us all of us time to do something with it. And so some of us squander our time by wasting our time. Some of us waste our time by sleeping all day and being lazy. Some of us waste our time by being distracted by all kinds of random things. And we don't use our time wisely. We don't use our time to help people. We don't use our time to be generous. We don't use our time to spread love. We don't use our time to just make the world a better place. We've all been blessed with resources. Some of us more than others. Again, some of us been blessed with 5 talent resources. Some of us been blessed with 2 talent resources, and some of us 1. But we've all been blessed with resources. How are you using your resources? Are you using them for good or evil? Are you using your resources to bless other people? Are you using your resources to build the kingdom of God? So some of us are wasting our resources. Whatever your resources are, whether it could be your money, it could be something that you know how to do. Whatever your resources are, it could be a place or a building that you have. You have a building and you're not using that building for something that could bless people. It could be anything. Our skills. Some of us have skills. We all have some skills, but we all got different skills. How are you using your skills to help people? How are you using your skills to bless people? How are you using your skills to make this world a better place? So some of us are wasting our skills. And then faith. The Bible says that God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. How are you using your faith? Are you using your faith to believe God for things that are going to help you, or going to help your family, or going to help the people around you? Are you using your faith to build up people? Are you using your faith to make more money? What are you using your faith, or are you wasting it? What are you doing? And I'm not trying to condemn you, but I'm asking you to ask yourself, am I using all what God gave me? And so the master in this story is like God. And we are like these servants. We have been given abilities. God has given us abilities. We all have some ability. You got some ability. God didn't just give all the abilities to one person. You got something. He gave some people the ability to play basketball. He didn't give you that. So sorry. He didn't give me that. He gave some people the ability to sing. Maybe he didn't give you that. I sure don't have that. He gave some of us the ability to draw. Some of us the ability to communicate. He gave some of us the ability to lead, to be a leader. He gave some of us the ability to help people. He gave some of us the ability to be a good administrator. Like, we all have some type of ability. Some of us have the ability to prophesy. Some of us have the ability to teach. He gave all of us some abilities. He gave all of us opportunities. Sometimes some people opportunities are like they're just blatant, wide open opportunities. And some of us, it's hard to see the opportunity, but the opportunity is still there. You just have to look closely. And we've all been given responsibilities. We've been given responsibilities. If you have a family, you have a responsibility. If you're a parent, you have a responsibility. If you have a job, you have a responsibility. We've all been given these responsibilities to do something with it and to do it all for the glory of God. And so God doesn't want us to just sit idle and waste all that he's given us, waiting. And some of us are just sitting around waiting for the perfect moment. Like, there is no perfect moment. Just do whatever he's given you to do. Do whatever he's called you to do. Ain't no perfect moment. Just do it. Ain't no wait. Well, I'm gonna wait till I get this right and get that. No, just whatever he giving you, do something with it. You ain't got to try to save your money. You ain't got to try to save up until you get a certain amount of money. People say, I'll give and I'll be generous once I get a certain amount of money. Well, first of all, if you don't give when you got a small amount of money, you ain't gonna give when you got a lot of money. That's why he said to the first two servants, because you've been faithful over this little amount, now I will give you more. And so if you don't give now, if you're not generous now, then you ain't gonna be generous and give and tithe and give an offering when you do get some money, because you ain't doing it now off the little bit that you got. I don't care if it's $2, $5, whatever. Do something with what you got now. And so God is calling us to act now, to invest and multiply now the things that he's given us, to do it now. In 1 Peter 4 and 10, the Bible says, each of us should use whatever gift that you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Meaning, we all been given gifts. So each of us should use those gifts that God has given us to serve other people. We are all called to be faithful stewards of not just money, but of every gift that God has entrusted to us. He's entrusted to us. God has, that word entrusted means God is trusting us to use what he's given us. And that's what this servant did. Even the one, he put trust in him. And the reason why that Jesus said, you wicked and lazy servant, is because he trusted you, and the man with the one talent, he trusted him, and he betrayed his trust by not doing anything with what he was given. And so that's probably why he called him wicked, because you betrayed his trust. You didn't do anything. You just buried it out of fear. Here's where it gets real. If we hide our gifts, we risk not only losing the gift, but we risk failing to fulfill our purpose. Just like this servant who buried his talent, he didn't just lose the gift, because the master took the gift and then gave it to the one who had 10. And so we don't just lose our gift, but we lose it and then he give it to somebody who's going to do something with it. And so that's to add insult to injury. He gave it to the one who had something. And so this servant, wicked and lazy servant, he failed to use what his master had given him. And so how often do we do this? Like I said, I can admit that I've done this in my life. I didn't use what God gave me, or I hid it. And I try my best not to do that today. I try to use everything that God gives me today. Right now I'm using my voice. Whatever it is, right now I'm using my teaching ability. He's given me a gift of teaching, and I'm using it right now. I'm not saving it. I'm not holding it back. I'm giving it to the people who are on the other side of my voice, who are listening to this, who need this. And so I'm not holding anything back. And so how often do we do this? We hold back because we're afraid. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid that we're going to fail. What if I was afraid that I was going to fail? I wouldn't be talking right now. I would be so afraid to put this video on YouTube because I'm afraid that I might fail. That's not my problem. My only thing is to be faithful with what God has given me. God has given me a message. He's given me the ability to teach, and I'm using it. And so we can't be afraid. Some of us are afraid of rejection. You are afraid to use what God has given you because you're afraid that people are going to reject you. Guess what? Whoever is rejecting you, that's their problem. You just do what God told you to do. And I know some of us, we just feel like we're just not good enough. But again, you don't have to be good enough because God is good enough. And all you have to do is lean in to him and lean into what he's giving you and just trust him and just do what he's called you to do. And if you do what he called you to do, all you got to do is trust him for the results. You see, we trying to produce a result. You see, that one servant was probably thinking, well, how can I multiply this money? You just perform the act of investing, of doing something with the money, and trust God with the results. That's all you got to do. You see, this wicked and lazy servant, the problem was not that he tried to do something with the money and then it just failed. No, he didn't even try. And that is the biggest problem. You don't even try. All you gotta do is try. Because the results are not on you. The results are up to God. And I trust him for the results. And so all you have to do is try and do what he called you to do. And so God is clear. He's speaking clearly to us here. And he's saying that faithfulness is not about perfection, but it's about action. What are you going to do? You see, this master, he didn't expect the servants to make the same amount of return. He just wanted them to act. He just wanted them to do something. That's all. He just wanted them to do something. Whether it's 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent, whatever it is, the principle is still the same. Do something with it. You see, the Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Romans, he tells us to not think of ourselves more highly than we ought, but think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has given us. And so you ain't got to think too much of yourself. If he gave you 1 talent, you ain't got to think, you ain't got to think like a 2 talent person. He gave you 1 talent. All you got to do is be faithful according to what the measure of faith that God has given you. That's all you got to do. And so this master is not even comparing these two, because he didn't even compare the one that he gave 2 to the one he gave 5. The one he gave 2 to, he didn't say, you didn't give 10, you didn't make it 10. No, he said, you made it 4, well done. And so he's not comparing us to each other. He's just comparing you to you. Did you outdo yourself? That's it. So you're running your own race. He doesn't look at other people. He's looking at what he's giving you and what have you done with what he's giving you, not anybody else. And so how does this apply to you today? Well, maybe you're sitting on a gift, whether it's a talent, whether it's a business idea, and you're scared to start that business, whatever it is. You may be just waiting for the right time. Whatever it is, maybe you're afraid of failure, or you feel like that what you have is not enough. But God is testing you right now. He's testing you to take action. Don't bury your talents. Invest your talents for his kingdom. You see, you don't need to wait for perfection. You just need to take the first step. It ain't got to be perfect. Just take the first step. Just start walking. Whether it's whatever it is, whether it's you start by volunteering. You start by using your skills. You start that business. Do whatever it is that you know that he's called you to do. Whatever you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is, start with what you have. Because he's not expecting you to do something with what you don't have. He's only expecting you to do something with what you have. God doesn't expect you to multiply your talent in a day. He's not even expecting you to do it in a day. Because you read this story, it says the master went on a trip for a long time and he came back after a long time. And so whatever God is giving you, he's not expecting you to just multiply it overnight. He's not expecting you to be an overnight success. He's giving you time. What are you going to do with that time? And so all he wants you to do is try. Just do it. And so this week, I challenge you to take one small step towards using your gifts. Use your talents to bless others. The master, which is God, is waiting on you to show him what you'll do with what he has entrusted you with. Just think about it. What if every person realized the value that they've been given and they acted on it? Think about that. There will be no more fear. There will be no more fear of failure, no more excuses, just a collective movement of faithful stewards all working together towards building God's kingdom. And so let's stop hiding our talents and start multiplying them for the glory of God. And he's given us everything that we need to make a difference. It's time for you to act. And so that's what I wanted to share with you in this video today. I pray that you got something out of this. And if you did, please share this message with somebody else. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.